Welcome to RetroWolf Podcast episode number 7, and I've been looking forward to having this gentleman on the podcast for quite some time because he is a very interesting individual with some interesting things that he did in his past, like your metal band that you were in that I definitely want to touch on a little bit at some point, but that is Grindhead Jim. He has his own YouTube channel, and he was also in one of the main roles in the Game Chasers movie, so we're going to get into that a lot today as well. How you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing great, man. Been looking forward to this all day. Glad we're able to finally do this.
Yes, sir. Me too. Me too, man. Me too. And thank you for joining the podcast. I really appreciate that. And so before we get into any talk about the Game Chasers movie or anything like that, what all you been up to? And then if you want to just kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself, that would be good too.
Sure. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, served from 2000 to 2004. I've done a bunch of different things since then, do tech support for a living these days. If it's an electronic device and you use it, I've probably teched something like that before. A lot of passion for movies, a lot of passion for music. Big fan of Destiny. That's what I'm mainly known for on Twitch. It's, Bungie hat. I mean, come on. And in case the viscera on my shirt couldn't attest to, I'm into the really heavy extreme metal stuff. And those are kind of all the hallmarks of what I'm known for, big passion for retro collecting as well and so forth. I just kind of got my fingers in all the pies, as they say.
Hell yeah. Hey, they say variety is the spice of life, right?
True. This is true.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get started on any Game Chasers movie conversation, is there anything that you want to plug today? Your YouTube channel, for example.
Really, anywhere you guys want to go to find me is just going to be grindheadjim.com/whatever you're looking for. So grindheadjim.com/Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, whatever. You want to catch up with me, you'll find a way there.
Sweet. And I'll throw all those links in the description down below so you can just go down there and click.
All right.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and launch right into the Game Chasers movie. So you were in a very important role of the movie, and I don't know how much we can talk about what your role was, so I'm just going to be kind of vague for now. But so I wanted to start off by, kind of getting into how you got involved with the project and what led to that, because it's a pretty fascinating story.
To me too, actually. It's a lot of people in entertainment, no matter what kind of stuff you've done. You talk about right place, right time, right? Definitely had some good luck in the music industry where we had the right record at the right time. And I kind of said, okay, that's my big thing. And I retired from that. And then as time went on, I kind of got the bug to create and kind of dabble in some YouTube stuff and so forth. But at the same time, it kind of sparked retro game collecting for me. And I kind of, over time, aside from your normal nostalgia critic stuff and AVGN stuff, came across this little channel called the Game Chasers. And I've been a fan on and off for years. And I say on and off because my time to watch content waned quite a bit a few years ago when I started playing games on stream really avidly.
Right.
But as I was moving away from streaming a little bit because of work, and some things were not going so great in my life, I started watching YouTube more, and I came back to the Game Chasers, and I just was binging all their stuff, and it was great, and I was feeling really cool about it, and it was just like, in this moment, the Game Chasers kind of helped me remember, like, why I enjoy this this hobby and this community, right? And right as this is happening, they released this Kickstarter for a movie. And I'm like, what? They're doing a movie? That's awesome. Okay, cool. And I had a lot of free time at the time, and I see what they're doing with the Kickstarter. I see the stretch goals, and I see you can clearly tell in the copy for this thing that they're really trying to go next level. This wasn't going to be running around the woods with a GoPro. So I was like, okay, how can I help? They don't know me. I don't know them. I don't have a large following on YouTube. I'm more of a Twitch guy. but I felt like I had to do something. And one of the things I was seeing on videos and on Twitter and even comments to the campaign, people didn't really understand the weight of what these stretch goals were, like what they were going to be able to do.
Right.
You know, like they felt like we got funded. Well, now we won. That's it. And I'm like, no. The more you put in, the more you get out. Like, this is not enough to make a movie. Mm-hmm. So I made this video that said, hey, it's funded. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what they're all about. You know, understand there's more to this. This really does smack of something special. I put it up on my Twitter. I didn't tag anybody. I didn't @ anybody. I didn't use any hashtags. I put, I think, some tags in the YouTube video itself, and that was it. And I just left it be. I just wanted to say my piece, so if someone came across it, I would like be able to say, okay, here's a bit more in depth on that.
Yeah.
Coming to pass that Billy and Jay and the guys found it, and they tweeted it out, and all these fans come crashing down on my channel, and were very positive and supportive. And by that point, I had been kind of lurking in streams. I didn't really talk a whole lot, but that kind of opened me up. I started talking more in Jay streams and Billy streams and stuff. And over time, this would have been, I think, April of last year. I was living in Houston at the time. By August, September timeframe, it was clear I was going to be needing to move. I wasn't happy down there. And I have some friends up here already in Dallas. And I said, screw it, I'm going to go up to Dallas.
Yeah.
So I do. Over this time period, I become good friends with Redneck Chris. And he was really adamant about me coming up. He's like, come on up, come on up, come on up. So I did. As soon as I got here, first thing I did was hang out with him. We streamed for like 7 hours one night, got really drunk, but we had a good time.
Yeah.
And it just so happened with the timing that that weekend coming up was going to be Retropalooza, and I work weekends. So it's a little rough to get out.
Yeah.
Chris is like, dude, you gotta at least come to the after party on Saturday. I'm telling you, all right, fine, I'll go. And it wasn't that begrudgingly. I love Chris. I love hanging out with the guy. Love him to death. If you're watching, brother, I love you. So I go. And first person I see in there is Billy Mitchell. I was like, okay, he is that tall. And by the way, Billy Mitchell's, he's a tree, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then I meet Eric, and I meet Jay, and I meet Billy. And Jay does his thing. He shakes my hand, recognizes me from stream, like we talked a few times, whatever. And he kind of looks me up and down. He goes, all right, cool. And I'm like, what is he hitting on me? What is this? You know, I knew he wasn't, but it was just like, I didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
And then I go to meet Billy, and it's almost the same thing. Like, oh, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. And then, you know, I had beer and a few arm wrestles were had, and I went home, and that was that. 2 days later, I get a message on Facebook from Jay. Hey, we're doing this audition on Monday from this time to this time. Do you want to, could you come down, do me a favor? I'm like, sure, absolutely. So here at this point is what I'm thinking. I'm going to come down, get some bit part, or at least get to read for a bit part, but they really want my help with the logistics of the audition, right? First thing happens when I get there, Billy asked me to help move a couch. I'm like, oh, I was right. Yeah. Cool. And I see actors go up for various parts in the film, including the one that I had been told I was up for. And it's hit or miss. Some folks really hit it out the park. Some of them you're like, eh. And for the people that were going up for my part, I was like, I'm not feeling that. Like, that doesn't sound like that character to me.
Yeah.
And after like the third person goes up, he really comes up and says, "Hey man, you're going to be here all day anyway. Do you mind if we push you back a little bit?" I'm like, "Sure." I was not expecting to be there all day.
Right.
I had cleared my schedule, just, but I wasn't expecting to hang out with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But right there, I'm like, something's up. Comes my turn. I do the audition. I ask some questions about the character, which they seemed very surprised by, that I would actually ask actorly questions.
Right.
And they're like, "You're the first person to ask about that." I'm like, "Well, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Character, I got to know where it's coming from." So we do it. And then, half hour later, after some discussion, I've got the part. 10 days later, I'm on the set. That's how I got in the movie The Game Chasers.
And you weren't expecting the part to be as big as it was, were you?
No. When they at the audition, they explained how big this was, what the time commitment was, and so forth, and we had to work it out to where it would be feasible for me to be there. But I was like, oh, because you get thrown in the deep end. Mm-hmm. From meeting these guys, you feel thrown in the deep end to begin with, because just being around them is just this bigger than life thing sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But then for them to say, "Hey, for the next month, you're going to be this linchpin character, some very important scenes and all this stuff." And I was like, okay, I can do this, So the way I describe my role, without getting too in depth, in a game of racquetball, you've got the players, you've got the paddles, you got the ball.
Yep.
And you got the court. I'm the wall that the balls get bounced off. Meaning, there's a lot of stuff where the action and the plot gets pushed forward in some cases. Sometimes there's a trick shot, That's kind of where I'm at, where you could probably get away with the movie without this character, but it helps to glue everything together.
Right. So that's very cool, man. Let me ask you this. How surreal was it at first? Just, knowing not only that you're going to be in a movie, not only that it's going to be a Game Chasers movie, but just, being able to hang out with the guys so much and being able to act, just the whole experience. Like, how surreal was it for you at first? I'm sure it started to probably wear off a little bit after a while, but what was that like?
To a degree, having been in high-profile things before with my music career and some other things, like, I don't get so starstruck.
Yeah,
I don't really like, ooh. Like, of course, I'm geeked out, but I wasn't like freaking out all the time. What was weird was showing up to set and you see all the gear, people moving around, and you're just like, holy shit, this is a real deal.
It's the real
movie.
deal.
And it's in that moment, you're just kind of going, am I going to pull this off? And we had the first shot of the day, which was Eric, which I can't even imagine the pressure he was feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And, but granted, the scene that was being shot, the type of humor that was there, right up his alley. He had command of the thing. He didn't have to worry about anybody else, but just him doing what Eric does.
Nice.
And me and Rob, I know Rob told the story before, but we're sitting there going at the monitor trying not to laugh because he did a really good job.
Yeah.
I go, okay, guys, we're going outside. Next setup. And then they go, Roy. I'm like, and I was still getting used to being called by my character's name.
Yeah. And
it was the next thing. And the very first thing that they do is stuff me into the back of a freaking car. And I'm inside there for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Probably more. The crew says it was like 2. I didn't feel like it was 2 hours in there. But it was, you think sitting in the back of a car wouldn't be too bad. Like a trunk of a car. but it can beat you up if you're not in so great a shape like me. But it was, to answer your question, it was very surreal in the sense of you're on a movie set, you're on a bunch of people that you don't know, and very quickly within a couple days, everyone's your best friend.
Yep.
You get into a groove, and it just kind of becomes your life.
Yeah.
I would say the most surreal part was when it was over. You're like, well, we don't get to come back and do this tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, it's over? That was the weirdest part, honestly.
Yeah, I personally felt that even just being on the movie set for 4 days. After that fourth day, I was like, wait, I don't get to come back the next day because I got to go home. Yeah, that sucked. So
imagine that times a month.
Yeah, right. I can't even
3
imagine.
weeks.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So do you have any prior acting experience or?
I would say no. Friends of mine would say yes. In that with the YouTube stuff, my early stuff, I wrote character pieces. So I did reviews, but I played a character, much like Angry Video Game Nerd or Nostalgia Critic, where I pumped it up a little bit.
Yep. And
to them, that was acting. I'm like, I'm just removing parts of my personality at that point to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that was kind of acting. I'd done some plays in high school and middle school as well. And I had been in one other movie, but that was barely acting. It was me pushing a guy out of a door and then he knocks me out. But this was like the first legit full-on acting I'd ever done as an adult, for sure.
Nice. Well, I can tell you from my perspective, man, you knocked it out of the park. Like you sold that character. Because I got to see some pretty major scenes. I had the pleasure of seeing, whenever we went to that other section of the park, I got to see some pretty major scenes that you were in, and so I got to see.
Well, the one you're referring to, a lot of that wasn't acting.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. And of course, we can't talk about that, unfortunately. But maybe sometime after the movie, we can talk about that. But,
absolutely. But interesting thing is that we went back up there for some new shots.
Oh, really?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? Oh, well.
Yeah, and I found out how bad a shape I'm actually in because we had to walk all the way there.
Yeah.
It took me like forever and stuff. But the shots we got, you might recall, there was a few things we were doing where they're like, well, we have to. Well, this shot from this angle is not going to work because we don't get this. We can't get this shot that does that. We got all those shots. All the shots we were missing that day, we got.
Nice.
So now that whole sequence is going to be.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see that sequence. Because
I saw a rough edit of it.
Nice.
Looks good.
Look good. Yeah. So he was able to sell it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Man, I hate that we have to talk so vague about this, but we don't want to spoil anything for you folks. Trust me, you don't want to get spoiled.
No, this is gonna be a good ride.
Yeah, but when you see the scene that we're talking about, you'll enjoy it.
Absolutely.
It's something else. So, but yeah, you're acting, man. I thought you freaking nailed it. You really brought that character to life, and whenever, as a matter of fact, whenever I saw you acting in the scenes, this was before I even knew that you didn't really have any prior acting experience. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this guy must have acted several times before in things. So you were good, man.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot.
So, all right. So walk me through. So after your first day, kind of walk me through the rest of the experience and just, funny stories that you can talk about or just anything you want to talk about the experience.
Sure. I actually want to talk about some of the more mundane stuff that happens. There's a cycle of life that occurs. So after that first day, I go home and I immediately got because I had several copies of the outfit. Got the clothes out for the next day, repack the bag, make sure water's chilling in the refrigerator for the ride down, stuff like that. I was icing down my legs, taking ibuprofen, stuff like that. Just resting off the day so the next day would be okay. Yeah. And then you drive out calls at that point were 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 9 at the latest. And you go in and everyone's setting up and you have your breakfast and this and that. You go over a few lines of some people. And it's a lot of waiting, honestly. But that's where you got to know the crew the most, because you had downtime.
Yeah.
And you would just, depending upon what was being set up, you could pick somebody's brain and get to know people's stuff. And that to me was probably one of the most rewarding things. You get to know all these people and they become family to you. The second day was the only day where I got really mad. My second day was the third or fourth day on set for everybody else. And it was the end of the day. We'd been standing in the same spots for a couple hours at that point. And the last shot was me and Dave walking a straight line to a vehicle. And the shot, part of it is in the trailer where we're walking along. And there was this certain way to get the shot with the dolly and the zoom to where everything had to stay in focus and still maintain this movement where it's not just a stupid handheld Steadicam shot.
Right.
But you had to link it up just right because the autofocus wasn't working properly in the lighting. And so they had to do an actual manual focus, Peter did. So as the camera's moving, he's having to do this.
Yeah.
And we did at least 12 takes of this.
Yeah.
And I'm sore, and I'm old, and I'm fat, and I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
And I'm also mad because we're nailing lines, and it's useless.
Yeah.
And after so we get on take 13 or whatever it is. We get it. And then just as Dave's about to deliver his last line of the scene, you hear a plane fly overhead.
Oh,
which had been happening all day.
Yeah.
And I went, Peter, tell me the zoom didn't work. He said the zoom was actually perfect. And I went, fuck! I stormed off for 5 minutes. And I had to gather myself and calm down. And in the next take, we got it. It was fine. But it was just, and you feel so pretentious being mad in those circumstances because it's there's 36 people trying to do all these things to make you look good.
Yeah.
All you got to do is stand there and
yeah.
So when you get frustrated like that, you immediately feel shame. But no one ever brought it up.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Yeah.
After that, everything was pretty smooth sailing. And, there's a million different stories. There's one scene that was filmed at night where my wardrobe was drastically changed. And it just so happened that, I don't want to give anything away. Put it this way. KY jelly on latex rubber.
Oh, God.
In the freezing cold against your face.
Yeah.
For 3 hours. I don't recommend it. That's all I'm going to say about that. You take it as you will.
Yeah.
Y'all see the film, you'll figure out which scene I'm talking about. And no, it wasn't a condom. Nothing like that.
You just made me think of that scene from one of the Lethal Weapon movies or was it Lethal Weapon? No, it wasn't. It was a Leslie Nelson movie where him and some chick had condoms over their entire bodies.
Naked Gun.
Naked Gun. Yeah. Not Lethal Weapon. I don't know why I said that.
I'm like, what Lethal Weapon do you watch, bro? Come on. I'm too old for this shit.
So what was one of your most difficult days on set?
The one that you were there, not because you were there, but
yeah.
You
were there, so
man, you wouldn't leave me alone. What's up asking questions? No, I'm just kidding. That was pretty rough for me.
I know
as
what you're
we've
talking about.
implied, and I've implied in other places,
Yeah.
it was a rough day for my psyche. Without going into detail, heights were involved, and that's my one big phobia.
Yeah.
And it was really, really harrowing to have to go through. Because it wasn't just that we were up high. We were up high and it was kind of rickety.
Right.
And there was 3 other people on there. I was very aware there's a camera behind me that's worth more than like several years of my salary at work. So all this stuff was going through my brain, and now I have to act in a very important scene while being uncomfortable. And it was rough. It was really rough.
But to your credit, you freaking pulled it off, man. I witnessed the entire thing firsthand, and you pulled it off. You did it.
Well, I mean, think about it realistically. If I hadn't nailed it, I'd been up there longer.
That's true.
So in your brain, my Marine Corps brain said, all right, Jarhead, get this right the first time and get the hell off this thing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I approached it. And, I saw a rough cut of it, and it works. Works real well. So I'm just happy we got the shot and that it's being used.
Well, I have to say, man, mad respect to you for actually getting up there and doing it and facing your fears. Mad respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, because not everybody would be able to do that. So that had to have taken a tremendous amount of mental strength just to be able to do that. I can't even imagine.
There's a wall that you hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I did. I did hit my wall.
Yep.
I mean, spoilers. I was supposed to go up a little bit higher than I was.
Yeah.
And my body locked up on me. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
And I said, "Can you get the shot here?" "Wow, what's up?" "I can't move."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I'll twist." So I had to turn my body like this unholy, 96 degrees, frozen in place to get it done. But we did.
You did. I can't wait to see what that final scene looks like.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real cool.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see just the movie in general, man. I can't even tell you how excited. And as excited as I am, you've got to be at least 10 times more excited because, of how involved in the movie you were,
Yeah, it's something where when you get in that deep with the boys on anything, you want to see it succeed because everyone's got so much heart wrapped up into it. And, I enjoy doing this type of thing on the podcast, and I enjoy talking about the movie, but I don't enjoy censoring myself.
Yeah, right.
I want to just have an open discussion about it.
Yep.
I want to see the movie in its completed form. And I want to see how much it lines up with the movie I had in my head and how that vision changed after I saw the rough cut of it in January. And that was like his first pass edit. So it was rough, right? Right. Like super rough. Like some lines got cut off in the middle of the lines and shit.
Yeah.
But then you're okay. So now I know where the movie's going to go. I just want to be able to put it in the Blu-ray player and sit down and watch it.
Yep.
I want to show it to my friends.
Yep.
And I'm most looking forward to sitting down with everyone on the cast and crew on that first night and watching it together.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to see it again until that opening night.
Yeah. Because
that's going to be catharsis.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, I was in that is going to be really cool. Like, I know the jokes land. It's going to be me remembering all the good times we had on the film. It tugs at your heartstrings too. The film does. So it's going to be a roller coaster. I'm bringing tissues. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I actually, even though I was on set for 4 days and I saw a lot of scenes that were filmed, that's only 4 days. So there's still so much about the movie that I just don't have a clue about. And a lot of the scenes that I saw, I was seeing them without context. You know what I mean?
Right.
Within the greater scope of the movie. So I'm really looking forward to.
I would say that the meat and potatoes of the film proper, you were robbed of.
Yeah, which I'm glad of, to be honest, because I want to be surprised.
Because the stuff that you saw, a lot of was periphery.
Yeah.
With the exception of the scenes that you saw me shoot.
Yeah.
A lot of just peripheral establishing stuff or just kind of get us to the next set piece kind of thing.
Yep.
And like the really, really, like the coolest stuff you haven't seen yet. So if you were impressed by what you saw, that's like saying, man, these salt and pepper shakers are really good. I'm like, I haven't gotten the French fries out yet. The burger's still on the grill. Just slowly roll, buddy. That salt and pepper is going to be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm pretty sure because of the tier that I backed on the Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to go to the premiere too. So I'm very excited about that.
I hope so.
Yeah, very excited.
We don't know what that's going to look like in a post-COVID world, obviously.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
And plus, the movie's not done.
Yep.
So we don't know when the movie's going to actually be finished.
Right.
He's hoping by end of the year, which I don't know what that means for a premiere. I will be here. Whatever it takes, I will be there, and I cannot wait to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun just to see everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And what I've been telling people, man, is, I've been telling people the movie's going to get done when it gets done. You don't want to rush it. You want the finished product to be the best that it can be, which Billy's working his ass off to make it the best that it can be. And, it's just like in the video game industry, which a lot of companies still do this, me and you both know, but in the video game industry, you don't want to release a video game that's full of bugs or missing content or just not polished, which they still do. And look what happens whenever they do, they get bashed for it. So, it's kind of the same approach. Billy doesn't want to release the movie until he and a lot of other people involved are happy with the finished product. So people just got to be patient.
And you can tell to look in Billy's eyes, especially now, he's not going to be done until he's done.
Yeah, right.
Now, he really wants it to be done, though. It's these two things where he won't settle, but he wants it done as fast as he can get done.
Yeah.
So it's something he's wrestling with.
Yeah.
But he's working really hard,
Very hard,
we're so close. It's like this close. We just got to get a few more shots, make sure all the color grading's done.
Yeah.
And then any additional VFX stuff gets slapped in there, and then it's final sound mix, and we're out the door. It's not that much.
Yeah.
Although these are time-consuming processes,
Right.
there's a relatively small number of them.
Right. Right. Well, honestly, I kind of hope that it doesn't get done and ready to be premiered until a lot of this COVID shit is kind of past us. You know what I mean?
I hope so too.
Because nobody wants to deal with having to do all the social distancing and all the.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just because everybody at the premiere, they're going to want to, probably
shake hands,
and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can be past this crap by then, which I'm being optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, I try not to for lack of a better term, count my eggs before they're count the chickens before they're hatched kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some good news on the vaccine front. Hearing things about this and that.
Yep.
I think as long as people just stay in their homes unless they have to leave and wear a mask when they do.
Yep.
Those are very simple things to ask people.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
As long as people can do that, we'll be fine for a premiere.
Yeah.
So here's hoping.
Yep. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yes. Yes.
So let me ask you this, Jim. What was one of your favorite moments on set? I'm sure you had many, but just what's one or two of them?
Yeah. There's a scene where almost the entire cast is in the same room at the same time on camera.
Nice.
You've got me, Billy, Jay, Eric, Chief, Wood, and a couple other people, other actors in the crew. We're all in the room together. We're all bouncing off each other and doing stuff. And it's some of my favorite lines that I got to do. Some of my favorite improvisation that we got to do. We did it a bunch. And it was really, and in between takes, we're cutting up And then we're doing coverage, which, as you know, is where into individual coverage.
Yeah.
And people were trying to mess with each other and try to get them to fucking cut up and all this stuff. And that was a great day.
Yeah.
That was like 2 hours. We were working on just that one scene. And then when it was done, we had other stuff to do, which was equally fun, but in a similar circumstance. But that to have everyone in that room at the same time was really cool.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
Nice. What's one of the funniest things you can remember that happened?
I remember a lot of times it'd be like, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, because we had some late shoots.
Yeah.
And we would just start laughing for no reason.
Yeah.
We're just you break up laughing, this and that.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Anytime that you gave Dave a chance, you give Dave an opening, give Game Dave an opening on that set, and he's going to hit you some of the wittiest, sharpest humor in the world.
Yep.
You'll bust a gut every single time.
Yeah, that dude's, he's got the gift, man. He's got the gift, no doubt.
Oh, it's insane, man. Another one, which it was funny after the fact. There's a scene where Dave's character and my character get shot at with a shotgun. And the character that was to do that, the actor playing this character is very, very method.
Yes. I know who you're talking about.
And tons of respect for this guy. When he did drop character, got along real well.
Yeah.
His character and I didn't get along too well. But the first time that he shot at us, there's no rounds, no blanks, nothing.
Yeah.
I've been shot at before. The first time he pulled the trigger, it still scared me.
Yeah.
Even though I cleared the weapon myself. I know there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
It was that good. Yeah. I turn around, I'm like, geez, oh shit, they're bad, man. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Just trying to scare you. And you're like, okay, man. Yeah, and we did it like 6 more times or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you get to be around someone chewing the scenery up like that, it's so much more fun. Yeah. So Dave and I were kind of hamming up a little bit too. So
yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, that particular actor you're talking about, though, man, he is legit. That guy is legit, man.
Yeah, he pulled me aside that night. He's like, hey, when all this is done, just know that you're going to be driving a lot to Austin. If you want more acting, drive a lot to Austin. I'm like, I don't mind that. He's, maybe we can go down and get some roles together. I'm like, okay. And I gave him my card. He's never emailed me. That's okay, though.
Yeah, I didn't even... that first day that I was on set was the first time that I saw him. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but he wandered on set, and me and my buddy Gabe that was with me, we thought that it was just some random homeless guy that wandered on set, dude, that was walking around drinking alcohol.
I was there for his audition.
Oh, I bet that was good.
It was insane. So this is a couple hours later after it's been decided I'm going to be in the movie. And now I'm just sitting there with, Scott, the producer, and Robbie and Billy and Jay, and we're just watching people do their thing. And I'm sitting at this bar kind of area. It's not a bar, but it's like a bar table. And I hear this guy walk in, looks around. There's a bathroom back there. I'm like, yeah. He goes back there, and you hear him retching. Something awful. Well, what he was doing was taking whiskey and choking on it on purpose.
Yeah.
Spit it back in a bottle, choke on it.
Yeah.
And he comes out looking as disheveled as all get out.
Yeah.
Sat down, snapped in, said his name, real polite and then he called action. The guy snapped into character. And it was the most intense thing. And then when Billy said cut, He took notes.
Yeah.
And there's action. And I said, cut, took notes. And said, well, thank you. Thank you very much. He got up, shook everyone's hand, walked out the door.
Yeah.
We all looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what is this? What was that?
Mm-hmm.
And we were all like, that was the most intense thing. I'm like, look, man, either he's really a homeless drunk that was just channeling some energy for the day, or that's the best act I've ever seen in my life in person.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insane.
I had the pleasure of seeing him in several scenes, and yeah, the guy's something else, man. He is something else. And, you know, in a way, he was kind of playing two different characters in the movie without saying too much. So that in of itself is impressive, you know?
Yeah.
And also, you know, the child actors impressed me a lot too. I only got to see one of them live on set, but he did a great job, man. I was like, wow. Like,
you know, young Chris, right?
Yes, it was the young Chris. Yep.
I deduced that from the other scene that other actors in. I'm like,
yeah. It was.
Y'all, if y'all watch all these episodes together, you can sew together so much of the plot.
Yeah.
Not really, but
yeah, so yeah, that was cool, and you know, I mean, and the other actors and actresses that were in the movie that they hired were really good too. I'm not trying to discount anybody else by talking about how good the one guy was. Everybody was good.
Oh yeah,
you know. And everybody brought something to the table, and even, you know, you guys, like I said, you and even Eric and Chief, I mean, they were nailing it too. Jay was nailing it, Billy was nailing. I mean, they were all on point, man. But I suppose it probably helped that they were kind of playing caricatures of their own selves in a way. So I'm sure that helped.
I mean, aside from, you know, liking video games and being a large fella, I really hope I'm nothing like my character. You know,
yeah.
You know, I hope that's not the case. But I mean, certainly there's something to draw on. Mm-hmm. So I will say something here I've never said anywhere else.
Okay.
There's a lot of time in the movie that is spent by my character slowly reacting to something in a way that he becomes angry, then has to stop himself because of his position in the hierarchy of the film.
Yeah.
I was channeling my father for that stuff. Where just have this kind of a, are you serious? You know, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
Because my dad would do that shit all the time. Yeah. I like to think I can catch myself faster than my dad could, but I mean, that was, so although it wasn't like a caricature of myself, I was really drawing from something familiar. If I was playing like someone who was really into country music, I would not have done well. Because I'm not. I'm really not into country music.
Neither am I. It's kind of hard to be into metal and country at the same time. Some people can do it. But
that's true.
It's kind of hard. Like,
I mean, to me, like Johnny Cash was the beginning and ending of country music.
Yeah, right.
I like Hank Williams Sr. And Jr. A couple other things here and there, but I'm so rooted in that. But then again, I've never met a country fan that was like, you know, I really liked Possessed and I really liked Death, but death metal kind of lost me after that. You know, like you don't have that reversal of it. Right. So
that's true. Yeah.
I guess I'm up a leg, you know, for liking Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Cash was a great musician. I don't think anybody can argue that, you know.
No, I saw him live 3 times. It was amazing.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's awesome, man. That is awesome.
Twice in 85 and once in 86.
Yeah. Wow. Not very many people these days can say that.
The advantage of being old.
Well, come on, man. You're not old. You're not even, you're not even, how old are you?
43.
It's not old, man. To me, I don't consider somebody old until they're like in their 70s at least. I think that's probably when you're old.
That's fair.
So you got a ways to go. Speaking of old, the old guy, yeah.
I was like,
you're like,
where's he going with this?
The old guy, I can't remember his name, but the old man on set, dude, he was
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh
That
yeah.
guy, dude, that guy was awesome. And I don't think I told you this, but it was the third day. I want to say it was the third day that I was on set. I think it was his last day of filming. He filmed a
Yeah.
pretty big scene, and I got to talking to him, and this was my first time talking to the guy. And boy, oh boy, that man can talk.
And you also
He
come to realize that his voice is not an affectation. That's how he really
That
talks.
is how he really talks. You're right. But yeah, man, he like for probably the next 30 minutes, he was just talking my head off about all the movies he loves, and he was reenacting scenes from the movies that he loved, and it was pretty interesting. But yeah,
And you can tell, like, when he was on camera, like, he
yeah,
was channeling a lot of that stuff. I think that's what a lot of us did. Like,
yeah,
everyone in the crew are big movie buffs.
yep,
And I think that those of us who watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff and watch movies over and over again,
yeah.
I think there's a certain degree of osmosis there
Oh yeah,
where
absolutely.
you just kind of, okay, I kind of see how the Kool-Aid is made. Okay. All right, I'm going to try it, my version of this. And when film's rolling, it's hard not to let the pressure and the adrenaline kind of take over,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And whether or not you consider what the Game Chasers do performance or Twitch streaming a performance, there are aspects of that pressure of you got one chance to do this is live or whatever,
Right.
or reality in the case of the Game Chasers. So I think that stuff, just knowing how to deal with the pressure of performance, probably was the biggest help for all of us non-actors
Yeah.
in acting,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
trusting each other
Yeah.
is the other one.
Definitely has to be trust. And I'll tell you what I saw while I was on set, man, as I saw it, and I told Rob this, and I think I probably mentioned this to Scott too, is it was like a well-oiled machine, man. Everybody was doing their part. The teamwork was amazing. The communication was amazing. Like everybody meshed and gelled really well together. Everybody had pretty much the same, sense of humor, twisted sense of humor, which was even better. But yeah, it was like the perfect combination of people to make this damn near impossible task with such a low budget and such a small amount of time. They pulled it off. They made it happen. And people that criticize, Billy doing this and the Kickstarter and criticize the movie, I'm just going to be blunt, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean,
No, they don't.
that's just the way it is. They haven't done their research. They're just either trolls or haters or jealous, and they just, they're talking out their ass and they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, at the end of the day, like, people are either going to like this movie or they're not.
Right.
And that's true of any piece of art, right?
Yep.
And if you're going into this expecting to hate it, I'm sure you will find things with this that you don't like. It'll be too silly or it'll be too this or whatever. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But no one can take away from us the fact that it took a lot of hard work and that we owed it to the fans to make the best movie we could with the concept we had and the budget we had. And I feel we accomplished that. So it's like, people are allowed to have their opinions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm also allowed to say it's a stupid fucking opinion and based on no real information.
Yeah.
But that leads me to, I understand the frustration of not having that information. I get that. I just can't wait for it to be out.
Yes. Yeah, because when it comes out, these naysayers, whenever they see, if they even watch it, whenever they see it, I think that they're going to shut up. I really do.
No, they'll find something else to complain about. They'll find something else to complain. They always do.
The trolls will, yeah.
But I think that a lot of the fans that are on the fence, that are skeptical, and rightfully so. I mean, in this community of retro gaming, there have been some projects that went out there, maybe didn't live up to expectations.
Right.
Not naming names,
Right.
because there's been multiple of them where it hasn't quite hit the mark for some people, right? So because there's a precedent within our greater community, there's apprehension and fear.
Right.
And I get that.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and having, lived through that as a fan and seeing this from the beginning as a fan and then suddenly coming around the other side, with the crew thing, I can still understand that outsider point of view of what is this going to be, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it may not be the movie you were expecting, but it's going to be. You will be able to find something if you like the Game Chasers, unironically, you will like this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
There will be something in there for you, and it will have been worth the wait.
Yep. You're right. You're right. And I really think that the movie is going to end up having a broader appeal for an audience even outside of the Game Chasers as well.
Yeah, there's two things that are an obstacle to that. One is the title. Without the right title, it's not going to get in front of the right people. Two is distribution. Like, how is it going to get distributed to people? And these are two things that we still don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. I feel like what's the reality of what I think is going to hit is we're going to be able to get it out there for everyone that backed it, and then it'll be on streaming services for rent or purchase. And then maybe we'll get lucky and get picked up by a Netflix or something for just being on the platform.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, in between that and word of mouth from people that have copies, it'll slowly gain steam.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like maybe 5 years from when it's released, it'll start to have an effect. However, anyone who sits down to watch the movie will be able to be like, oh, shit, this is something, and I hope that because that alone to me, like, being able to put that Blu-ray in somebody's hands, we'll be able to say, this is what these guys are capable of. And hopefully we get to do another film and another film and so on. That's the hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so too, man.
I really want to see Billy get to direct without having to act.
Yes. Yeah, because I can tell that's what he wants to do. Yeah.
And he's good at it.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is. Yeah, he definitely is. I could see that very clearly. Yeah, and he's got a passion for it. He's very, very passionate about it. I mean, he seems to be passionate in everything that he does, man. I mean, and you can tell that. I mean, even in the Game Chaser show, you can see the passion there and the amount of work that he puts into it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you were on Twitter yesterday. He released these pictures.
Yep.
He's going through the entire series, every episode, and he's recolor grading every episode so it looks right.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Tedious work, too. Yeah.
And he doesn't have to do that.
Right.
But he is.
Yep.
Because people wanted these Blu-rays.
Yep. I ordered the whole set. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yep.
Makes me wish there was such a thing as a Blu-ray changer. You just put them in and spin them up. That'd be great.
Tell you another thing I'm really looking forward to on the Blu-ray of the movie is the behind-the-scenes footage, because Renee was there shooting the hell out of some behind-the-scenes footage, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. Yeah,
he shot some cool stuff, and there were times he was shooting that you didn't know he was shooting.
Yep.
And but there's some stuff that I would like to see end up in there.
Yeah.
That he didn't film. Like the first public, aside from like the picture at the beginning, there was a picture on Twitter of the main cast, which I'm in. And I kept my mouth shut. Like, I didn't want to, but when the picture went out, it was good. And then like the next day, we're at this house location. We're waiting. I'm standing in the driveway doing a bit of this, and Billy finds a tire that's tied to a tree. He slowly leans back. Eric's filming.
Yeah.
And this tire swings across the whole driveway, hits me in the ass. And it's on Instagram. I'm not sure if it's on Eric's or Billy's, but
I might have to go find that.
That was my first official hazing.
Nice.
And then you did it again on the second one. I just kind of went,
yeah.
I'm like, go ahead. But Like that kind of stuff would be fun to see in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also looking to do for the Blu-ray, like the Game Chaser style green screen interviews.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Would you believe me if I told you that what I'm most looking forward to about this whole process is getting to sit down in front of that green screen and talk to that camera about the movie?
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's gonna
And to be
awesome.
able to talk freely about it too.
Exactly.
He'll be like, "Oh, that time when this happened, and then you did it." That I can't wait for.
Yeah.
That I'm excited for, because one, come on, I'm going to be doing a Game Chasers interview. Hello. Two, to be in a behind the scenes for a movie, which is the reason I buy Blu-rays in the first place.
Yeah.
Like that is like, ooh, so metal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. I really hope that Renee or somebody else was able to capture some footage of Jay setting a high score on this Pac-Man arcade cabinet and then setting out a challenge to everybody saying, if you can beat this score, I'll give you $100.
I don't know if that footage exists, man. I've heard this story.
Man. Yeah.
I don't know if that's out there.
I hope so.
I hope it is.
I didn't take up the challenge because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it because I suck at Pac-Man. But
Right.
I watched a lot of other people try, and nobody was able to do it because freaking Jay is a beast at Pac-Man.
From what I heard, that joystick's broken too.
Yeah, the joystick had some problems, so he was able to set this super high score with a busted-ass joystick. That's very impressive.
We went to a local barcade here a couple months back, and there are very few games that he's a slouch at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got some skill.
Yeah, he's beaten me on Tekken a couple times. But then we played Mortal Kombat, I think it was 3, and I was able to, I cheesed him a bit. All right, I use smoke, okay?
Yeah.
All right. But,
Yeah.
but I would say that him and Billy would be on my dream team. If someone said, all right, for the fate of the world, who are you taking with you for video games? It'd be those two guys for sure.
Yeah.
Because they're the real deal.
Yep.
And think about growing up around games. We always knew that one guy who was like the best at every game.
Yep.
But now you got two guys who are the best at mini games, and they're like best friends. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
And it in their late 30s, early 40s, still be that good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know what really blew me away, man? Like meeting Billy and Jay in person for the first time, not only immediately coming to the realization that what you see on the Game Chaser show, that's Billy and Jay. They're not acting, they're not putting on a show, that's them. So coming to that realization, but also coming to the realization of just how cool and friendly and laid back those two guys are.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
It's true. 100%. And I could take that a step further. There was an episode that Jay put out, a mini episode. Like some of the footage was on Jay's channel. Some of it ended up in a mini chode episode for Game Chasers of Jay getting these arcade cabinets.
Yeah.
Well, I went on the road with Jay and I filmed some of that for him. And in fact, my ass prominently displays in one of those videos. Like you can't miss it. It's like covers the whole screen. And filming with them in that environment, that's surreal. It's weird because you're like, this is how the pudding is made,
Yeah.
And there's stories even for that, that when he comes around to make a full-blown episode of the whole thing, I'd like to be able to tell a story like I can't even tell it now.
Yeah.
About getting the Blitz cabinet that he got. That was a crazy day. That's all I can say. I will say this much. We'll get to the place. He goes in. He's not back for like 10 minutes. I start filming myself going like, I hope Jay's okay. And then I get a text message. Come in, no cameras. It was just the staccato nature of it. I was like,
Yeah.
and I go in and I'm like, Like it was like this garage where they clearly work on things, but it's not clear what they work on. If you understand the vibe I'm talking about.
Yep.
Oh, hey, this is my garage here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a day.
Interesting.
But to see Jay's reaction to these real life scenarios, and we're trying to film, we're trying to live in the moment, and all these things. It was really cool to be able to do that.
Nice.
And we were supposed to get some more games this week, but I guess the deal fell through. So, but that's as time goes on, you just, like you said, these guys really are exactly who you think they are.
Yes.
Because there's not an ounce of fake on them.
Right.
They're just who they are.
Yep.
And that's rare.
Yep. Yep. You're right. It is rare. It is rare, and it makes me respect them even more. So. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome just to be able to hang out with them, on set for 4 days and get to talk to them and stuff like that. Which Billy, I didn't get to talk to Billy as much as I would have liked to because he was just so damn busy.
Nobody did.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Not even Billy.
Yeah, and I could tell that he was a little stressed and busy, so I just kind of, for the most part, just left him alone. And but I got to talk to Jay quite a bit, and that was cool. Yeah. Jay's a funny dude.
He's definitely a cut up, and the last night of filming, I distinctly remember the last shot. And it was the dumbest shot of the whole movie. Dumbest. 4 guys walk up to a trailer. That's it. That's the shot. That was the last shot of the Game Chasers film.
Really?
And and then everyone just started hugging and shaking hands and laughing and crying and toking and joking and but you saw this as soon as you heard the word cut. Billy's shoulders must have dropped 3 feet.
Yeah.
Just and he was like,
yep.
All this air left him, and he was so much better. And that was a good moment.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was sad that final day, that I had to leave because originally I was only supposed to be on set for 2 days, and then after the second day, at the end of the second day, Billy came up to me and my friend, and he was like, "Hey, I'd like to use some of your games in the movie if you can come back tomorrow and bring."
And you had to bring them back. That's right. I remember that.
So I came back that day, and then originally I was going to go home the day after that, but I was like, you know what? You got, because they needed a bunch of extras the next day. They needed some extras for a particular scene, and I'm like, you know what? I'll delay going home another day, and I'll come back tomorrow too. So I came back the next day and helped out on set a lot, and that was you were there that day. But then after that, man, I'm not gonna lie, it was sad. I did not want to go home. I wanted to stay and just keep going, man. It was for me personally, it was just the 4-day experience was a life-changing experience for me because not only was it an absolute blast and just so fascinating to just see all that and help with it and that sort of thing, but it also was a spark for me that lit a fire of getting into filmmaking, and now I'm actually getting into filmmaking. I'm working on writing a script right now. I'm working on learning a lot about filmmaking, acquiring all the equipment that I need, and as a result, my goal is to shoot my very first short film, 0-budget short film, this fall. So that's kind of what I've got going on right now.
Yeah, I've been keeping up on what you're doing, and I think you're on the right track, and I'm looking forward to seeing the fruits of their labor.
Yeah. Well, hopefully my first project doesn't suck too bad because, most people's first project is a little rough around the edges, but you got to start somewhere,
That's true. They're always going to be not exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
That's just par for the course, right? And so you have to have that patience with yourself.
Yes.
To know that you're still learning.
Yes.
So you try not to write outside of your limits.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's what I'm definitely.
Yeah,
I'm definitely doing that with my first short film. I'm writing it with just a very little cast, only a few people, a few characters in the movie. I'm not writing anything that is going to require any crazy props or special effects. So it's just stuff that I'll be able to shoot on a close to zero budget is kind of what I'm going for. Just, it's mainly just an experiment. This first short film I'm doing is just an experiment to get some practice, get my hands dirty a little bit and see what happens, So,
Right on,
and,
dude.
and I'm trying to take the same approach that I did with YouTube, right? Because just like with most people, when I first started YouTube, my first who knows how many videos were just not good. They were not good, man. And but over time, I didn't let that stop me. And over time, I tried to get better and better and make small improvements with every video and learn more and more and more. And now I feel like my YouTube channel is at a pretty decent level of quality with my regular videos. But that took time. It took time. It took practice. It took knowledge. And that's kind of the same approach that I'm going to be taking with this kind of filmmaking side hobby that I'm getting into.
I think ultimately with any creative endeavor, you have to really be willing to try and make art that you want to take in.
Yep.
If you're not happy, how can you expect someone else to be?
Right. That's true.
And that's true of film. It's true of YouTube. It's true of music. And it's the older I get, the more I realize that you've got to please yourself first.
Yes, you're right.
No matter what you think the fans want, you started by doing something because you love doing it.
Yes.
So the longer you stick with that, the better the art gets, in my opinion.
Yep, you're right. You are right. Yeah, because I mean, even with YouTube, I mean, I could make videos that I know are with the current trend or what's hot right now and what's going to bring in the views. But I don't do that. I make videos that I want to make. I make videos that are interesting and fascinating to me. And sometimes it does line up with the current trends. Sometimes it lines up. You know what I mean? But I don't. But the philosophy that I'm trying to take with YouTube is I don't make a video just because I think it's going to get a lot of views. I make a video because it's something I think would be fun or interesting. You know what I mean?
Have to do it that way.
Yep. Yep. And I think that works. But I have to say, man, I definitely have to thank Billy for being just such a huge inspiration, man. Because if it wasn't for going on that movie set and seeing him work and seeing everybody else work and just being involved in that process, I don't know that I would have actually went down this road of trying to get into that. So it was just kind of like I said, it was the spark that lit the fire for me. So definitely a huge thanks to Billy for that. And hopefully it pays off. I don't know if it will or not. I don't know if it's going to turn into anything, but I'm certainly going to try,
You'll always be able to say you gave it a shot, though.
You're right.
That's true. Sometimes that's more important than the product you come up with.
Yep. And the way I look at it, too, is at least I'm getting some good equipment and getting some skills and practice to where maybe I could start my own videography company doing wedding videos or commercials or something like that,
It's lucrative.
It is.
So
it's lucrative. Not right now, but
no, not so much right now.
Yeah. So before we move on to a couple other topics I want to get into, is there anything else you want to mention or talk about with the Game Chasers movie? Any last words?
No, I just want people to leave their expectations at the door and try to enjoy the ride. It's going to be, in many ways, more than you expect, and it's going to come from left field. But if you give it a chance, I guarantee you'll be entertained.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And I want to, and I've been bringing this up almost every podcast, but I want to bring it up again, of course. If you haven't had a chance to support the Game Chasers movie yet, support Billy, support Jay, you can still do so on the Indiegogo page. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. You can still pre-order the movie, and every pre-order helps Billy out. It helps Billy out, gets him a little bit more money to put into the movie, because I'm sure even now he probably still needs money for the movie, because he's said multiple times they literally used every drop of money. So
matter of fact, I actually have an anecdote that'll corroborate that. He did a live stream a couple weeks ago, and every donation that came through on that stream went directly towards the purchase of a new camera.
Yeah.
Something that the sensor lines up with the red footage for these pickup shots we're doing. And he just got that camera a little while ago.
That Blackmagic 4K, right?
That's right.
Yep.
And that's going to enable us to get the shots that we need. And that was a big thing. That was a big concern of what we're going to use for pickup shots.
Because that's an expensive camera.
It is.
It's like I think it's like a $3,000 camera or something like that.
The base, he was able to get a pretty good deal on it. New,
that's cool.
Had like 13, 14 or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
But that's just the base camera. That's not
no
any lenses. That's not the cage.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as getting the main Hoochie Mama, he's got it. Yeah. He's got a lot of the other accessories he can use.
Yeah.
So he already had that, so it made sense. But but that was mostly on the backs of people coming in and supporting.
Yep.
So, and the Kickstarter helps that, and he's putting the work into the Blu-rays as well. So it's all going to a good place, and the movie will show.
Yep.
It will show the effort.
Yep.
It will show the funds.
Yep. And another way that you can support the movie, of course, is to share it with your friends and family. There's or at least one trailer out there on YouTube right now that Billy put together. So you can share that with friends and family that you think might be interested, and get more people interested in the movie, more people wanting to see it when it comes out. That's a big way you can support the movie. Share it on social media, text the link to friends and family, just share that movie trailer as much as you possibly can, and that's going to help too, I think, a lot.
You bet, because the more people that want to see it, the more leverage that gives us to put it in the hands of folks that can make sure people see it.
Exactly. So cool, man. So I want to get into this a little bit. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to the country. Absolutely, thank you for that. But I want to get into your heavy metal days, man. So maybe you could walk us through that a little bit, because I find that pretty fascinating. Because as you know, I'm a huge metal fan too. We talked about that on set a couple of times. So So I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah. I grew up listening to all kinds of stuff, oldies, like I said before, Johnny Cash, stuff like that. And somewhere right around 85, someone put Metallica tape in my hands.
Yes.
I was already listening to like Tears for Fears and Queen, and I knew it wasn't quite there. The Metallica, and I'm like, okay, what's this? In 85, that would have been Ride the Lightning. Because Puppets hadn't come out yet.
That was a good album.
So you hear and then you hear Fight Fire with Fire, which is all starts with acoustic guitar, and you're like, say nothing. And then blah, 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 and you're like, holy shit, what is this? You figure I'm 8 years old at that point, and I'm like, what is this? Because there was nothing on the radio like that.
Yeah.
And within 2 years, I was listening to like Death and Napalm Death, and I just skipped a bunch of stuff. I went from like Metallica and Megadeth and Anthrax to like grindcore, and death metal. I skipped Iron Maiden, I skipped Judas Priest, all that stuff, and came back to it later in life. But I just wanted I wanted something that was punching, hitting hard in the face, and by probably 90 or so, I was getting really serious about playing an instrument. Now, I'd played saxophone in high school and more middle school, really. But I really wanted to play drums.
Yeah.
And the band director wouldn't have nothing of it. He was like, you're a saxophone player. My dad said, the hell with that. We bought a drum set. And as like one of his first kind of retirement projects, he and I refurbished that kit from the ground up.
Nice.
Stripped everything off of it, polished it, put new finish on it, put it back together, got hardware, and slowly over time I started to learn how to play the drums. I dabbled a couple bands here and there. Fast forward to like by 97, I'd cut my teeth in a few local bands, and I was getting to start to know people in the larger bands just by virtue of, you start to know people.
Yeah.
And I became to have this name. And all that's where the Grindhead Jim name came from.
I was going to ask you that. I was known as
the guy. Yeah, that's where that comes from. Because I'm heavily into grindcore, which is an extension of like crust punk and that kind of thing. And so people knew me as that guy. Because some people were like heavy into hardcore or thrash or that newer style that was coming out at the time or straight death metal, whatever.
Yeah.
But there was always one guy that was like the really wacky grindcore, and in that scene, that was me. So, and I was really into it. I was playing a lot of bands, cut a few demos, began writing some of my own music on the side. Like I didn't play it for anybody else; I just wrote it.
Yeah.
And on this little rinky-dink Casio SK5 keyboard that I had with a sampler on it, and you get to a point where you hit a wall.
Yeah.
Where you're not getting anywhere. This is before the internet was really big. It wasn't really being used for music at that point, not in the sense of like organizing shows or anything like that. You still couldn't really record at home. And couple that with the job market was crap. And I just kind of dropped everything, joined the Marines. Midway through that, the bug bit again, and I bought a drum set, started relearning, and between really wanting to make a go of it, but also being in far better shape because of the Marines, the drumming was getting further along.
Right.
By then, I was in my second marriage. I leave the Marines. She says, let's move to Chicago.
Ooh.
And from Georgia. And
that's a big change.
I'm used to it. Military brat.
Yeah.
She's originally from Wisconsin. She had friends in the Chicago metal scene. I said, let's go. So we did. And within we got there October of 2004. By July of 2005, I was in cardiac arrest.
Ooh.
Which I was in that band for.
Oh, wait. That's the name of the band.
Yeah.
I thought you meant.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, my God, dude. I thought you.
No.
Damn, that's funny. Cardiac arrest is the name of the band, people.
Yes.
Okay,
I didn't actually have a heart attack.
Okay.
Christ, man. Trying to scare people off,
Oh,
man.
shit. I'm with you now. I'm with you.
No, but I joined the band Cardiac Arrest, and I was in that band for 5, almost 6 years.
Yeah.
And our first 2 records were completely independent releases. We had the backing of 2 distributions. And then the third record got picked up by a larger label named Ibex Moon Records, who had a larger distributor. For example, you could walk into a Best Buy at the time and buy our record right off the rack.
Oh, nice.
We were getting reviews in Decibel and Revolver and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Started doing bigger tours, doing more shows, stuff like that. And that's a whole wild ride in and of itself. Being in a full-time band where that's your living, that's a whole thing. And then touring on the road, it's a lot like being on a movie set. You'd be surprised how similar it is.
I believe it. Setting up all the equipment on the stage and everything and making sure all the sound is right. I'm sure there's a whole hell of a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, and you've got the same group of people you're relying on every single day to get it done.
Yeah.
By second, third, fourth day of the tour, you've got that well-oiled machine where you walk in, do the thing, go eat, play the show, tear down, and then get on the road and get some sleep. And it's this whole thing. And some people can really kind of adhere to that life.
Right.
And some people just can't handle it.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle where I can function on the road. I can do what I have to do, but you figure by the time we were really in full swing, I was in my early 30s, and living out of a SUV for a month at a time.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But doing that and then having to play drums at that level.
That's a very physical instrument, and playing metal is even more physical.
So
you have double bass pedals?
Two actual kick drums.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I use the Axis A longboard. It's been endorsed by them since 2006.
Nice.
And it was something where, and you're playing these blast beats and and everything's got to be just right with your posture and all this other stuff. And if that's not perfect, if you don't feel up to speed, the show's going to suffer, and then you don't want the fans to have to deal with that.
Right.
So a lot of my day was spent undoing the damage from the night before. Whether I slept wrong or I played too hard the night before, maybe I partied too hard the night before.
Yeah.
Although by that point that was pretty much under control.
Yeah.
You have to be really conscious of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not a life that I'm in any hurry to go back to in terms of the touring aspect of it.
Do you ever miss playing the drums?
I do sometimes. I still have the kit. In fact, I'm looking for a place locally where I can set up to use that for exercise.
Oh, nice. Good exercise?
Oh, God, yeah. To give you some perspective, I was playing 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week.
Whew.
And when I went from eating meat to becoming a vegetarian, I dropped 65 pounds in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And that's the only change I made.
Yeah.
I was eating the same amount of calories.
Yeah.
It was just the fat differential was so high, and I was exercising so much, it just came off. So here's hoping it has the same effect this time.
Yeah.
But the drums really were what it was.
Yeah.
And like, I still love music. Like, the demos that I wrote just for myself back in the late 90s, I still have them.
Oh, nice.
And I'm actually working with a guitar player right now, and we're actually morphing those songs into an album right now.
Nice.
And I've got a drummer lined up, and I got a bass player lined up, and they're all ready to go, and they're seasoned session players. Depending upon the band you're into, the drummer you might know, but I can't tell you yet.
Gotcha.
Because it's something where we all agreed that we want to be a little bit further along in the demoing process before we made any big splash.
Yeah.
But it's coming along. Gave the website an overhaul and started reaching out to marketing companies and labels, and so we'll see what happens.
Cool.
But it's a difficult sell.
Yeah, I bet
you're like, hey, there's a bunch of us in our 40s that we want to put out this really crazy record.
Yeah.
And we don't want to tour on it.
Yeah.
That
is a hard sell.
Would you sell it? So the idea is that it's a lot like a movie where you self-finance, you retain the rights to it, but you're essentially licensing it to them for distribution.
Right.
To where they have the right to sell it.
Yeah.
And you get a cut of that, and it's a direct profit margin situation. Whereas with most recording deals, what it is they're fronting you in advance to a budget to record the record and market it and all this stuff, and then selling the record itself is meant to recoup that money. So you're agreeing to go into debt. And we were always smart, and then we self-financed the recording.
Yeah.
So we got a bigger chunk of the front end. And here's hoping the same is true this time around. Hopefully it's lucrative.
Hope so, man. Hope so.
I just want people, but I mean, would it be nice to make money off it? You bet.
Yeah.
But I want people to enjoy it.
Yeah,
I want to rip people's faces off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, let me ask you this, man.
Sure.
And we'll start it off. I'll start this question off with an example. So I play guitar. I've been playing guitar since I was 16. So almost 16 years now. Here lately, I haven't been able to play as much as I would like to because I'm into other things. But But whenever I was in my prime, I guess, my guitar playing prime, whenever I would nail a song playing in front of people, whether it's something I wrote or something I was covering, man, it was such a rush. It just felt so good. So, what does it feel like to be on stage in front of a crowd of people and all that energy, man, and just nailing it, man? How awesome does that feel?
It's really difficult to put that into words.
I bet it is.
There really is nothing quite like it on Earth.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between the exhilaration of going on like the farthest run you've ever gone on, or doing the most pull-ups, combined with having the best sex of your life, combined with getting a laugh from a joke.
Nice.
Okay, all those things together times 1,000.
Yeah.
We were on tour with Enthroned and Destroyer 666, and we did a show in Toronto, Canada. And we're at this place called the Opera House. It's gigantic.
The Opera House.
Yeah. And I was like, "You're going to book a death metal show at the Opera House?" They're like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Place is packed.
Yeah.
The whole Opera House, second tier, the whole thing. And I'm like, "Are you sure?" They're like, "Yeah." And just to give you some perspective, the sound check for the drums alone was an hour and a half.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I've never had that kind of attention paid.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, why is this taking so long?" Like, I'm happy to stand up here and do for you. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But why? And he says, "Well, you have to understand, we have compressors that we're calibrating as we go because that room is so huge. Depending upon how many people are showing up, they have to be able to switch to minimize echo."
Ah, I see.
I was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty smart."
Yeah.
And it was crazy because we went in there and they put this big fuck off ramp. It goes from the stage out into the middle of the crowd. So you can get your stuff up on stage because the stage is like half a story tall
Yeah.
or something. Go up there, you set up, get all your stuff all your like bags and stuff off the stage. Do the sound check and they take the ramp away. And then you go backstage. And they have a real backstage. Like, this was a pretty big tour. We only had 2 backstages for the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is one of them. Everywhere else, you're just kind of finding a corner of the place to hole up.
Yeah.
And they had a different room for each band. They had free beer, free water. Again, things that you take for granted on the road, but this was just an extra nice spread of the same.
Yeah.
And they took really good care of us. And then you hear the local opener go up, and you just kind of hear a little bit of, whatever. And then because we had lost the opener for the tour, couldn't get over the border. So it was just one local opener and then the 3 main acts of the tour.
Yeah.
So, like, they were pretty rabid.
Yeah.
So we hear them they're like, "This is our last song, this and that," and then the light goes off and you go up stage and you can hear energy. Like, there's people. You're like, "Man, not that many people showed up," but they're happy.
Yeah.
You're standing there and you're bouncing, trying to warm up. And I always went on stage first because I have to walk across the stage, come around to go up to my drums with the way these stages tend to be set up. And I walk out and I almost tripped over and fell flat on my face because I wasn't watching where I was stepping because I realized the whole place was packed.
Damn.
Top to bottom, back to front.
Yeah.
And they went, we're like, "Oh, shit.
Nice.
Don't fuck up, fat boy." Walk around, go up, and everyone plugged in, turned their thing on, and it's like, "We are cardiac arrest from Chicago, this and that, motherfuckers." Pop, 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 pop. You go into the song.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Like, I don't even remember. I don't remember any of the songs. I don't know the set list. I don't know how long the set was.
Yeah.
I don't remember leaving the stage, but I can tell you I remember the energy.
Yeah.
And it was this just wave of appreciation and energy and release.
Nice.
And then you get to take that in, breathe it in, and then exhale it right back out to them.
Nice.
And to cycle that through. And it's kind of a community thing. It's the best description I can give you.
That was pretty good, man. That made me feel like I was really there. How much practice does a band have to do to get to the level to where they can play a set list like that just, smoothly without, screwing up? Is there a lot of practice that goes into that?
I would say yes. But every band is going to do that in a different way.
That's true. That is
so
true.
What we did was we would have, for a short tour, we would have one set list. And we would play that one set list, twice a night, 3 times a night, 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And that's all we would rehearse.
Yeah.
We go home.
Yeah. And
at this point in our career, that was culling from 3 full lengths, a demo, and a 7-inch. That's a couple hours of music. You can't play all of it.
Right.
You have like 45 minutes, maybe an hour to play. You had to pick and choose.
Right.
And it wasn't just play the songs. It was, okay. And I think this is what set us apart and why we got as big as we did. And they're still going, by the way. They're just releasing a new album next week, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. We would weave songs together. We would treat every show like an arena rock show, to where you have transitions where you would know, like, well, that song stops and then you have like some weird drum roll or a guitar ring out or something. Something where it's like stage direction. You know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But we'd rehearse like that for a tour, about a month before we go on tour. And we're writing new music. We probably marinate on those songs for about 9 months before you go in the studio.
Yeah.
But that's longer than most bands get to do.
Right.
Because what we did was we consciously, between record number 2 and 3, we didn't push that. We recorded it. It was in the can. And then we toured on that record, just gigging around and stuff for a year, shopping it to labels until we got the deal we wanted.
Right.
And then we actually toured on that record, and those songs were that much more well rehearsed.
Right.
But by the time we were midway through the tour for that record, we had the next record written already.
That's awesome.
So we always had lead time. So it's, different bands are going to tell you different things about how they rehearse.
Right.
But we always said, okay, what's coming up? And we would rehearse and work towards the next gig, the next gigs. On a longer tour, we'd have 2 set lists. We'd rotate, so we didn't get bored. So we'd have, or like if we knew we're going to the West Coast, we know there's a certain part of our sound that people appeal to there.
I see.
Where some of our earlier stuff is better in the Midwest. So like where you're going to be kind of dictates what you're going to play.
Yeah, I got you.
You rehearse you basically prepare for all those scenarios.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, here's a little question for you. If you had to guess what my favorite genre of metal is, what would you guess? I like a lot of different genres, but if you had to guess my favorite, what would you say?
Well,
maybe a complete shot in the dark, but take a crack at it.
I will say that if I wanted to go with the stereotype answer, I would say Five Finger Death Punch. That's a stereotype answer. You're really well spoken and you're thoughtful. I'm going to go with either progressive or symphonic metal.
That's a decent guess, but my true favorite genre of metal might surprise you. My favorite genre of metal is kind of the groove metal, southern metal stuff like Down, Corrosion of Conformity, Pantera, a little bit of Black Label Society. That's kind
So,
of my
all
favorite.
the guys that influenced Five Finger Death Punch. So my original answer was kind of correct.
Yeah, I really like the groove metal stuff like Down that has that kind of almost bluesy kind of southern
Sure.
rhythm and
Like
scales and stuff to
Crowbar
the
and stuff like
guitar
that.
playing. Yeah, I really like that kind of stuff, man. And that's what influenced my own writing too. Whenever I would write a song, it would tend to
Yeah, I
gear
assumed that was the
more towards
case,
that.
but I figured if you were going to ask me that question, it couldn't be that easy of an answer.
Right, right.
So,
It started off as thrash metal, which
oh,
a
sure.
lot of people probably start, with that being their favorite. But as I got more
Yeah.
into different types of metal and discovered like Pantera and Down and people like that, I was like, yeah, I kind of like this a lot. So, but cool, man. So I want to get into to the last topic before we close out the podcast, and I hope you don't take offense by me asking this. I don't mean any offense by it at all. And this is coming from somebody that just doesn't know much about it, which is why I'm asking. So I wanted to ask you, why Destiny? What is so special about Destiny that makes you super into it? And again, this is coming from somebody that I don't have any experience. I've never played Destiny before in my life. I know what kind of game it is, and I know a little bit about it, but I've never played it or experienced it. So I'm
Oh, sure.
honestly curious about what makes it so meaningful to you and a big part of your internet presence as far as Twitch and stuff goes.
The the easiest way for me to describe it is this. At the beginning of our conversation, I talked about right place, right time kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Destiny definitely was right place, right time for me.
Mm-hmm.
The year that it came out was the first full year of the PS4's generation.
Right.
And that prior year, because of the way that the industry was appearing to go,
Mm-hmm.
I was about done. I was like, screw all this. I'm going to get a PC. I'm not buying consoles ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Screw these guys. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony kind of turned that on its head with their attitude towards the console generation. And I went all in. And to be honest, like I didn't know much about Destiny as a whole
Mm-hmm.
going into it. It was my roommate at the time that got me into it. He got me hyped for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it still appeared to be like an open world Halo is what
Right.
it looked like.
Right. Right.
And I was a huge Halo guy.
Yeah.
Like I was addicted to the multiplayer,
Yeah.
as a lot of us were. And so this would have been, I want to say May or June of 2014, which was a few months before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I had been so taken by Sony's sell on the PS4 that I just started really hyping it up. I became a member of their forums and then became a member of their MVP program. Now, they were going to get me out to E3 that year as part of that program. I didn't get to go. I had just started a new job. But they sent me back all the swag.
Oh, nice.
And one of the guys on the floor said, hey, we got you an alpha code for Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be over by the time we get back.
Mm-hmm.
So please play it. So I did. And if you've ever played a game by Bungie, whether it's Halo 1, 2, 3, or Reach, the gunplay is unmatched. It feels like a real gun. It shoots the way you'd expect it to. It's comfortable. Everything, the environments look better. The skyboxes are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about it where I hadn't played a shooter in a long time that I really felt linked to the character
Right.
in terms of the visceral, like I'm in control here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, add to that, you've got a customizable character you can make look whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can change the way the armor looks, how it feels, and it's a looter, so you're earning things as you go along.
Right.
And there's a sense of accomplishment there. And it was this combination of MMO and a shooter, which had never really been done before in this way.
Right.
All of those things combined it was just like this nuclear bomb went off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game itself is great, but then there's the people you meet along the way.
Mm-hmm.
These bonds that you form, these shared memories, inside jokes. They're not just the guys on your couch.
Right.
They're guys across the ocean.
Right.
We have
Which is
jokes
awesome.
about stuff from like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And you all are experiencing these things and over time, and you're seeing the story grow. The community is growing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge charitable aspect to the community. Like we raised, what, $4 or $5 million for St. Jude's last month.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
We did it in a week.
Wow. That is awesome,
Yeah.
man. Wow.
Yeah. So all of these things combined, like, are what keep me in that game where it's just like, at this point, it's like comfort food.
Yeah.
Or I love where the game's going.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own clan. We do the streaming thing. And as far as the stream goes, like every time I tell them, like, all right, we're going to play something else. Like, oh, play Destiny. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking for a bigger place, and when I find that place and get a good internet connection, the promise I made to myself was that I'm going to be streaming that newer Spider-Man game front to back and doing charitable work for a few homeless charities.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to have to do without Destiny for a while.
Yeah.
But Destiny for me really boils down to, that initial, hey, this is really cool.
Yeah.
It draws you in. The community and playing with people is amazing. But once you get in that world, like, I don't need to play another shooter.
Yeah.
I don't need to play another MMO.
Yeah.
I can, whether I'm in for 10 minutes or 10 hours, I get what I need out of that game. I still play the retro stuff. I still play other new stuff. Like I played Last of Us Part 2 off stream. Loved it.
I loved it too, man. I thought it was fantastic. So good.
So good. But ultimately, like, it's just something that for me hit at the right time, and I've never abandoned it. It's never abandoned me, and I'll be with it till the servers go off.
Nice. And I have no doubt that I would love the game, and just knowing what kind of game it is. My problem is, and it's the same case with just about any MMO, I just don't have the time. You know what I mean? Because they're huge time sinks, MMOs are, and
Absolutely.
That's kind of my issue, because there's a couple of MMOs that I would really love to get into, but I just can't, man.
It's a time sink, dude.
Yeah.
Now, Destiny's gotten a lot better about respecting player time for the most part. A lot better than it used to be. So, I will say this. Of all of the different ones that are out there, and given it's free to play, if you're in the mood for a shooter, download it, try it, and know that you can put in just a couple hours a week in and get some stuff done.
Yeah.
I can't say that about World of Warcraft. I can't say that about The Division.
Yeah.
Or Rainbow Six either. So it's like, it's still the didn't used to be like this, but in terms of like respecting time, it's about as close to that as you're going to get.
Yeah. Do you think they're ever going to do like a Destiny 3, or are they just going to keep expanding on Destiny 2?
No, they actually made an announcement earlier this year that they're iterating on that platform.
That makes sense.
And for the foreseeable future. But what they're doing is they're rotating out destinations and activities and bringing stuff in. So they're not only making new stuff, but they're bringing old stuff back.
Oh, that's cool.
Like this fall, we're getting a whole new planet, and we're getting a planet back from Destiny 1, and we're getting some raids back, and we're getting some new raids, and so it's going to be this constant rotation of activities to keep the game alive.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot smarter than wasting development time on a whole new game where you have to reset progress again. So the rotating weapons and destinations and stuff in and out, and I think that's smart.
Yeah. All right, I've got a few kind of bonus questions for you. Just a couple of random miscellaneous stuff.
All right.
First thing, how the hell do you pronounce your last name? Because I can't do it, man. I tried.
Diebendorfer.
Say that one more time. Diebendorfer. I like it, man. I like your last name, Diebendorfer. It's got a nice don't know. It's got kind of a nice flow to it. That's like what? How many?
I am the only Jim Diebendorfer that has ever lived.
That's four. That's a 4-syllable last name, man. So there's no other Jim Diebendorfer.
No, they're not. Neither in the past nor now.
Nice. Well, hey, that makes you unique, man. You're the
Makes
one.
me difficult to hide.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. Good point. And then the next kind of miscellaneous question I have for you, just something I'm curious about. What is your favorite retro console?
Oh, that's easy. NES.
There you go. As you can see behind me, I'm a huge NES fan.
Never would have guessed, Wolf. Never would have guessed.
Yeah, love the NES, man. And I think, and I don't know about you, and you can expand on it absolutely, but I think for me personally, part of the reason why I love the NES so much is because it was the first console I ever played in my life. Whenever I was just a little kid. You know?
Well, first console I ever played when I was a kid was a black and white Pong console built into a TV. And then we got Atari and ColecoVision, which was a big part of my development. But for me, the NES was the first console that I didn't have to imagine things.
Right.
Like the games were just a bit more complex and they respected my intelligence a bit more.
Yep.
And I have so many good memories associated with those. So it's like the combination of, okay, this isn't going away.
Yeah.
Because I remember the dark times when video games were kind of on the outs.
Right.
And then they came back with a vengeance. I'm like, well, I'm never putting these things down again.
Yep.
And the NES to me is a representation of that.
Nice. And now look at the game industry, man. The video game industry makes more money than any other entertainment industry. Movies, music, video game industry makes more than all of them, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, that's cool, man. So follow-up question to that. What are a few of your favorite NES games?
Ninja Gaiden is by far my favorite NES game.
That's the first one I ever played.
Same, actually.
Yeah.
And that was the one that sold me on getting an NES. And, you know, that was a big part of, like, I still love those games. Anytime.
So good, yeah.
When I'm on stream and I tell them, I'm firing up retro, they're like, playing Ninja Gaiden again, guys. You know.
Nice.
And Mario 3 is probably one of my favorites as well.
Classic.
Oh, yeah. One that doesn't get enough love is Rescue the Embassy Mission.
I haven't played that one. I haven't. I've not played it.
It's worth a shot. Do some research on how to play it first.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll get really frustrated.
Okay.
But it's pretty cool. It's kind of like Rainbow Six Siege before Rainbow Six Siege. That's a great one. And what else? So many good games for that console. I got to narrow it down. That sucks.
Quite a few.
Bubble Bobble is one that people wouldn't normally associate with me. I love that game.
It's a good game. It's classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Codename Viper. There's my top 5. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Codename Viper is really good too, man. Wait. Is Codename Viper the game I'm thinking of? Describe Codename Viper to me.
It's a Capcom version. It's a clone of Rolling Thunder. That's what it is.
Okay, no, I haven't played that one. I'm thinking of, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of a game where the first level you're driving and shooting, and then it turns into a side scroll.
Bayou Billy?
No. Vice Project Doom. That's the game.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good game. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, not only was Ninja Gaiden the first NES game I ever played, it was the first game I ever remember playing. Period. So that's the game that popped my gaming cherry, I guess you could say.
I mean, you know, if you gotta give it up to Ninja Gaiden, man.
Yeah. That game still holds up even today, man. It's crazy.
This would have been January or February. Me, Billy, and Chris were at Chris's place streaming, and we were playing Ninja Gaiden together, and we were all fucked up. And watching Billy play that game,
is he good?
It's a clinic, dude.
Yeah,
I've been playing that game, you figure now, for 30 some years. And although I'm not the best at it, I'm pretty damn good. And when I can watch someone I know in person play that game and know they're better than me, it's a treat. Doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like, that's how much I play that game.
Right.
Billy is just fun to watch, man. And he'll talk you through what he's doing and why he's doing it. And then he'll trade off with me, and then he's like, ooh, you know. And then but Chris was on the edge of the couch going, you guys suck.
Yeah, that sounds like Chris.
Yeah. You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sad I didn't get a chance to meet Chris.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
He's another one of those that he is exactly what he seems to be on the show, although probably a bit nicer than he seems to be on the show. Real generous fella.
I can see that.
Real generous, real kind, much more thoughtful, skilled in so many things. That guy can solve any problem. He's an amazing dude, and he's got a great family, and he works really hard.
Yeah.
And hanging out with him is as much fun as you probably think it is.
I bet. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I probably need to get a hold of him soon.
Yeah.
I think he's back to working weekends again, and I'm working weekends now, so maybe we can actually hang out. That would be nice.
Hell yeah.
Chris, if you're watching, text me.
Hell yeah. Well, man, is there anything else you want to say before we close out the podcast?
No, man. If anyone wants to reach me, I'm really approachable. grindheadjim.com/Twitter or at grindheadjim over there. Don't be shy. And we hope that, you're going to stay patient and really excited for the Game Chasers movie, and it will be rewarded when it comes out. And I thank you for your time, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, no, I thank you, man. I definitely want to get you back on the podcast to talk about some other stuff, man. What I think I'd like to do is get, a few of you guys that I've had on here together, just maybe talk about movies or something like that. I think that could be pretty fun.
I would be down for that. Let me know.
Cool. But yeah, so everybody, again, I'll leave all the links to Grindhead Jim's social media, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff in the description down below, as well as the Game Chasers movie Indiegogo page, so that you can check that out. And I'll throw a link to the Game Chasers movie trailer down there too, in case you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. Just watch it. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, thanks again, Jim, for coming on the podcast, man. It was a lot of fun talking to you about this stuff, and I enjoyed hearing about your metal past and hearing about Destiny. All that stuff was fascinating. Talking about the Game Chasers movie. Good times, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you all in the next one.